Assalamu alaikum and good evening to all our viewers. Today we are here for one of the most important program of our campaign, that is Strong Family Build Strong Societies. I would like to invite for Qirat recitation.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. O mankind, fear your Lord, who created you from one soul and created from it its mate and dispersed from both of them many men and women. And fear Allah, through whom you ask one another, and the wombs. Indeed, Allah is ever over you an observer. Sadaqallahul Azim.
My dear viewers, I once again wish you all Assalamu alaikum and a very good evening to all our viewers. My name is Moina Parveen and I will be the host for today's program, that is a seminar on concept of family in different religions, which is being held under the major title Strong Family, Strong Society. It is my privilege and pleasure on behalf of JIH, that is Jamaat-e Islami Hind Women's Organization, to welcome our most honorable guests. We are glad and honored to welcome Srimati Soumya Iyer, Srimati Preeti, B. Siringla, Srimati Cynthia, and Rahmatunnisa Sahiba. Dear guests, we are delighted to have you amongst us to share your views, concerns about families and societies and building strong nations. I would like to have we are very happy for you all for having shared your time, your precious time with us and being present amongst us, which shows that you're concerned about family system and building strong societies and nation. Now, I would like to share a few words about our campaign. Jamaat-e-Islami Hind Women's Wing is committed to building societies without any caste, creed, or community. We are here for everyone, regardless of their caste and community. Jamaat-e-Islami Hind has been in this social services in the country from a long time. And we, the Women's Wing, are hosting this program with regard to the problems that are being faced in the society. Dear viewers, we have been having a continuous program from February 19th to March 28th. In this regard, we have been having many seminars, panel discussions, interviews, and dramas and plays, including children, to convey the messages of importance of strong family and strong society to the nation and the people around us. We recognize that societies are very important. Making them strong is at the core of every family, every citizen, and all the country people. And We have invited people from different communities to share their family values, their views, their concerns about the conditions that we are facing today, the challenges the families are facing, and all the problems that our teenagers are facing because of marriage issues. Dear viewers, our guests bring their passion, their knowledge, and their experiences. And you have to prepare yourself to get inspired and motivated with the speakers, with their knowledge, and then oh, there was some problem in the net. Sorry. Dear viewers, please be attentive, listen to our speakers sharing their concerns and their knowledge, their experiences about the family and society. I hand over I hand over now to Srimati Soumya Iyer.
Great. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. Hello? Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Am I
Yes,
audible?
Soumya, please.
Great. Thank you so much for having me, first of all, and a warm welcome to all of the participants this evening. So, I am going to speak about yoga. Now, I come from a yoga background, and I'd like to start by saying my background is that I run an organization called Praful Urja, which trains yoga therapists to work with communities in under-resourced or vulnerable communities, special needs children, and prison communities, children with cancer, orphanages, women's groups, HIV positive. You understand all of the different vulnerable communities. Now, one of the things is that where did yoga come from for me? So I'd like to start by first looking at my own journey of yoga, which is all about my family. Uh, my entire if I look back throughout my ancestors, um, starting from my great grandmothers who were devotees of Ramana Maharishi in Tiruvannamalai, Tamil Nadu, and were even photographed with him at his Mahasamadhi in the 1950s, late 1940s, early 1950s. And later, within another few years, my grandmother was with Swami Shivananda, living with him in his ashram in summer times, and he would treat her like a daughter, like his own child. And he would treat my grandfather when he would come on the weekends when work was not, when he got off time from work, and he would call my grandfather his son-in-law. In Tamil, he would say "Mappale, Mappile," for those of you who understand Tamil. And later, then it was my mother living in the United States who first brought us to Swami Chinmayananda. And I think almost everyone will be from India is aware of who Swami Chinmayananda is, who has started the Chinmaya mission, which is now, well known throughout the world and operating throughout the world, training people primarily in the Bhagavad Gita. And later, then we also were introduced to other yoga gurus and other gurus when we were children. And I have to say that only because of that lineage, that my very own family lineage of yoga, is what allows me to understand yoga and to be able to then bring it to my adopted family, because I am by myself, but my adopted family in all of the children that I get to work with. Um, so this is quite interesting because if you look at the basic texts of yoga, some of the basic yoga texts. You see, for example, the Hatha Yoga Pratipika, the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, and even the Bhagavad Gita. If you look at it in a cursory manner, you oftentimes we feel that yoga is focused on only the individual self. It's about the individual jivatma, that soul's journey, and join with the Paramatman, the universal spirit. But if we dig a little bit deeper, we'll actually find some concepts that give us guidelines for living in a family dynamic. So I'd like to start by first looking at the concept of karma, which is propounded by Krishna in the chapter 3 of the Bhagavad Gita, which is possibly the most sacred book in the yogic philosophy. Now, usually, again, we see yoga as very individualistic and we look at it as aiming towards stillness without any connection to the world. And when we think about yogis, we think, oh, they're sitting in a cave somewhere far away and they are in complete silence, complete stillness. But actually, in verse 6 of chapter 3, verse 6 of the Bhagavad Gita, and I'm going to read the English translation instead of giving Sanskrit. And this is the translation of Chinmayananda I'm not sure if you can see the picture. He who restraining the organs of action sits thinking in his minds of the sense objects, he of deluded understanding is called a hypocrite. And throughout the chapter, then we you find that Krishna continually says that a life of action is better than a life of inaction. And then what are these actions that we are supposed to do? According to the karmic system, we're born into a family as appropriate to what the karmas that we still need to complete before attaining moksha, the freedom from the samsaric cycle of birth and death. And what are the karmas that we need to perform in that family? We have something called, and in verse 8, you perform your bounden duty. For action is superior to inaction. Even the maintenance of the body would not be possible for you by inaction. So if you think about it, even our body, yes, we may be wanting to be a yogi and be in a mountain and go into nature and be by ourselves all the time, but at the end, we also need to be doing our daily duty called karma. And possibly the most important aspect at the family structure. We have to do what is important and our duty to our family. That could be simple things.
Hello?
Raising
Uh-huh.
the parents have to raise the children. The
Yeah,
grandparents
yeah, I know. I have to give introduction. There was some problem.
not audible. A lot of is it audible? Okay. And we look at it modern day. Remember, charity. I mean, there's an old adage that says charity begins at home. Now, in this case, it's not necessarily that you have to be charitable towards your own family. Rather, you have to serve. That is what the karmas are. It's the karma yoga seva. It's to serve with empathy, with love, with kindness. And all of that kindness begins at home. Because when you learn to first be kind to yourself and the person next to you, either your partner or your children, to be kind to them, recognize that they are in their own journey, and we observe that journey as part of their
इसमें रहो सफा मेरे को भी बनना है उसका नंबर
to recognize what is karma. And more than that,
हाँ बोलो सुन मम्मी
recognize our own dharma, what is our own right action, our own duty. And that is called swadharma. So we have to figure out, based on our position in the family, what are we supposed to do? Now, what is a child's duty? What is a parent's duty to the child? Is to give them the right upbringing, to teach them the values that are the universal values of empathy, of compassion, of forgiveness, and of righteousness, of honesty. And teaching these values, raising them in the right need to survive in the world, not just in the physical and material world, but also in the spiritual world, in the in the religious world, to be able to survive in that, and to not survive but to thrive. And that's what Krishna is saying in this chapter 3 of the Bhagavad Gita, is that we have to understand what is our swadharma according to our position in that moment. Now, your swadharma when you go to work and you have your boss is a different role than when you come home and you're with your children. The children also have a swadharma. So, though I don't know if there's any children who are other children who are listening here. I doubt it. Okay, there may not be a lot, but the children also have their own role. Some of it is to test and try the parents' patience and see if the parents how far they can push the parents. Some of that is also required, and the parents have to be forgiving and patient and loving, because recognize that the children are doing this now for the first time in their lives. They're trying to test the boundaries. Yes, they have to learn, and the parents' responsibility is to send what these are and grow according, and allow the children to grow accordingly. Later on in verse 35, so the importance of doing one's own duty in the especially in the family. Verse 35 of the same chapter: it is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, the dharma, even though they may be faultily, rather than do another duties. So you have to find out what is your own role in that family. And the father's duty may be different than the mother's duty, but nowadays if both people are going to work, both maybe sometimes the father has to stay at home. Maybe, and that's what works properly. In fact, one of my best friends who's in Bangalore right now, I don't know if he's on this call, uh, his wife has to go to work because she works in a bank, but he is able to work from home because he works for a technology, he's in the IT sector. So he's able to take care of the child and play with the child, whereas you know she's not able to as much. And everybody has to recognize that duty. Um, I don't want to take up too much more time. Um, I want to say that we are born into that family to serve a particular purpose. And by being in that family, we and doing our duty to that family, whatever it may be, and every family looks different. Every family looks different. So, especially in the modern world, when somebody's sitting here, somebody, and look at us, all of us are right now different places, and we're, instead of at a real conference, we're in a Zoom online conference. So recognize that whatever you're doing, it is benefiting your own soul's journey by being in that family. And by practicing yoga in any of its aspects or methodology, I truly believe that a family will be stronger to face the world and practice their dharma and therefore grow and grow and grow to the entire world. And honestly, a family that practices yoga will respect and support one another. And I would like to give an example of my own life when my parents did not know what I was. I was new to India about 10 years ago. Um, I came to India about 10 years ago, and my family and entire family lives in the US. And about maybe 6 years ago, my father, for a long time, my parents were wondering what she's doing in India. We raised her in this beautiful United States, and everybody is clamoring to go to the United States. And why is she doing the opposite? other places. And I had started doing my work with special needs children. And one day I took my father to see the classes, and my father and they were not sure what I was doing at all. And I was teaching yoga to these children with autism. And I said, one child will lead the class and just observe and watch him do the class. And I, and this child took a full 30-minute class, made sure everybody was practicing, a group of six other children with special needs. And he saw all of these children practicing yoga, being able to practice yoga, and the other child being able to lead. And he said, dropped off and would have written off and said he is useless, he can't do anything. And now here he is teaching a yoga class. What that yoga has done for that child, then my father understood and was able to see, we don't know how much financially lucrative it is, but we know it's reaping the benefits not just for our family, for you or the children, it's reaping the benefits for all the previous ancestors as well. And immediately both my parents started supporting, and so I would like to say, and that is a true practice of yoga, to recognize that the other person has their own journey and to support that other person in their journey. Mina, I will stop.
Oh, okay, Samya. That was very good insight that Samya gave us. Samya seems to be a nature lover. She's good. She loves to walk, cycle, hike, and swim. And she's given us an insight into yoga. Basically, no matter which background we come from, discipline is very, very important. Yoga instills a lot of discipline, and that culture has to be built up. Any kind of exercises that we do, basically, that discipline has to be built within the family. Thank you so much, Soumya. Thanks a lot for giving us your insights. I would now welcome Ms. Preeti Prakash. Ms. Preeti, I would like to share a few lines about Preeti Prakash. Preeti Prakash is born and brought up in Bangalore. She's a postgraduate in business management. She chose the profession of maintaining God-given beauty, a beautician and hairdresser. She ventured into the business world as an entrepreneur, having started Beauty Nest Salon and Spa for Women, which recently completed 25 years in service. She was also awarded the Best Salon in South Bangalore for 2 consecutive years in 2018 and 2019. Having a service mind, Preeti steered Beauty Nest and ensured that it is instrumental in training 220 young girls and widows in the field of beauty, totally free of cost. Yes, free of cost. She has trained so many people. The bridge from being dependent to becoming independent. For this noble gesture, Preeti Prakash was awarded the Rashtra Vibhushan Award at New Delhi in the year 2014. She's also a motivational speaker and takes sessions on various life lessons in different schools and colleges. She's also passionate about everything she does. She lives her life on values and principles that simplify her life. She's penned down simple value books called Prati's Tale, which is well loved by teenagers. Over to you, Preeti Prakash. Ms. Srimati Preeti, over to you.
Thank you so much, Moina. Thank you for the lovely introduction. I would like to thank the organizers of the seminar for giving me this opportunity. Good evening, friends. Good evening, friends.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Very good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
We all live in houses made of stones, bricks, and cement. We are very comfortable in our houses, isn't it? We even sleep peacefully in our houses. You might wonder, what am I talking? Let me ask you, friends, have you ever wondered what if the ceiling or if any of the walls come crashing down? Have you wondered? No, right?
No.
We live in peace in the four walls of our houses. That too in an era where high rise buildings are mushrooming everywhere. How are we so comfortable? How do we feel so secure? What is the reason for this comfort? It comes from the fact that the foundation of the building is very strong. We believe that it is so strong that nothing can go wrong. Likewise, if we want our life and everything in our life to go smooth and go great, for us to be physically, emotionally, intellectually, mentally, and spiritually stable, we all also need a very strong foundation. A foundation which is so strong and powerful comes from where? Friends, in our simple language, this strong foundation for us is our family. Our family is our biggest and the most powerful base that we have. Right? Do you agree with
Yes.
me?
Yes.
According to Jainism, the religion of the 24 Tirthankaras, a close knit family, a loving family, a caring family, a compassionate family, a forgiving family, an understanding family, an appreciating family is the biggest source of energy which any individual can have. A good family, I repeat, is the greatest wealth that any individual can have. Spread your wings and soar high, but be rooted, be grounded, be like that fruit bearing tree, which, in spite of giving sweet fruits, has grown deeper and made its roots so strong that it can bear the load of the tree. No matter what, one may be very successful, one may possess n number of assets, cars, houses, properties, bank balances, jewelries, shares. One may be the king or queen and may be at the realm of their success, but all this is of no use if he or she does not have a family to share their joys and sorrows, to share their happiness and sadness, to share whatever tangibles and intangibles one may possess. According to Rishabdev, the founder of our religion, he said, true success is not in materialistic objects. True success is in knowing that there is someone always there for me. True success is in being that someone for everybody else because it is only then the purpose of life is fulfilled. Our last and 24th Tirthankara, Mahavira, said, live and let live, be compassionate, forgive and forget. Friends, today on this platform, I would like to share my understanding about what my religion has taught me, how Jainism has helped me mold myself into a better human being and a good family member. Each one is unique, each one is different. When we talk of a family, within the family, a husband and wife are different, father and mother are different, brother and sister are different, father and son are different, mother and daughter are different. Each one is unique and each one is different. As such, each one's thought process, habits, behavior, attitudes, everything is different. As human beings, we are all emotional creatures, and emotions are something that need to be handled with utmost care. Because of this one reason, it is very important. I repeat, it is very important that however big or small a family is, it needs to follow certain principles, because only when these principles are adhered to, then a family becomes very strong. Every family member, or for that matter, every individual needs love, care, compassion, appreciation, motivation, encouragement, time, space, kindness, gentleness, and above all, respect. Being in a family, I think I'm sure all of you also need all this. I am no different. I also need all these things from my family. I was like a beggar holding on to my begging bowl, hoping that all my needs would be met with from my family members. What I did not realize then was that as long as needs were needs, it was fine. But when needs became expectations, that is when the issues started. My family members did everything in their control, in their capacities, to meet my expectations. But the harsh truth is that our expectations from our family is 24 bar 7 and 365 days a year. Now tell me, friends, is it possible to be met with? It's very difficult, right? So the same thing happened to me. In spite of everything that my family did in their capacities, when my bowl still felt empty, I got angry, I got irritated, I became frustrated, and to top it, the king arrived. When I say king, it means ego. And when ego arrives, everything else goes. They say ego means edging God out. So everything from within us just vanishes when this king arrives. My want list was endless. I wanted this from my husband, that from my daughter, this from my mother, that from my father, this from my brother. My list was endless, and as the list was endless, with every passing day, I became more and more miserable. My hands, my mind, and my heart ached, holding on to my begging bowl. Then one fine day, I decided enough is enough. I decided to drop my begging bowl. With this one decision of mine, from a beggar, I became a queen. And you all know, queens cannot beg, they can only give. And I can only give what I have. So for that, I had to keep my bowl full. I started loving myself. I started caring for myself. I started understanding myself. I started forgiving myself. I started spending time with myself. I started respecting myself. I chose to be a queen in the true sense. The journey continued. I spread all these things to my family members. I started loving them, caring for them, trying to understand them, empathizing with them, just listening to them, being unconditional with them, being gentle with them, forgiving them, and then the magic happened. I removed the words sacrifice and compromise from my dictionary. I made a paradigm shift from I want this, I want that, to what more can I do for my family? When it was I want this from my husband, I want this from my daughter, the control was in somebody else's hands. And because the control was in somebody else's hands, it was not necessary for my expectation to be met. But in what more can I do? The control is entirely in my hands. And when the control is in my hands, it made me more peaceful. It's just like driving a car. When you're sitting on the driver's seat, even if a bus comes very close to you, you're still comfortable, you're confident, you're secure. because you know you can maneuver and steer the car out to a safe zone. But if you're sitting in a passenger seat and a bus comes very close, automatically the heartbeat increases, right? The same thing holds good even here. So, this shift made me so peaceful that I started radiating joy, happiness, and positivity. What I radiated came back to me multifold, and our Tirthankara, Lord Mahavira's saying came true: leave and let leave. Our house turned into a heaven, truly a home, wherein all our family members are very strongly knit into lovely bonds. I grew up in a joint family. Like me, many of you would also have grown up in joint families, and you would be able to relate with what I'm saying now. In joint families, we always had a surplus to satiate our emotional needs. We had hands to feed us, we had hands to wipe our tears, and we also had hands to pat our backs. Hugs were free flowing. Our elders had the time to sit with us and teach us the rights and wrongs of life. We grew up in an atmosphere learning to be patient and tolerant. We grew up learning to love, share, and care. We grew up learning to adjust and accommodate. We grew up among values, principles, and ethics. We grew up learning to realize the value of people and things. We learned how to respect elders. Our elders knew where to draw the line. Everything was so comfortable and everything was so beautifully done. There was no place for ego. It was always forgive and forget. We grew up in a secure atmosphere among strength, happiness, and peace. What a golden era that was. Friends, the time has come again to go back to the golden era and recreate it once again. To start off, let us love our family unconditionally. Let us drop the king ego and embrace compassion. Let us be in the family with what more can I do for my family members. To conclude, I would share our founder Rishabdev's saying, "You are a beautiful flower with your own uniqueness and lovely fragrance. When you are added in the bouquet, continue to spread your lovely fragrance, not because you want the world, but the world needs a beautiful and a gem of a person like you." Thank you so much.
That was wonderful, Preeti. You gave a very deep insight, your own, how you change your own condition and how the family has helped you. Indeed, the family is the most humane, most powerful, and by far the most economical system known for building competence and character. A vital role that can be played by family members, nothing can replace it. Family life in families can bring us great joy or excruciating pain, depending upon how well family relationships are going. A healthy marriage and a family life can be a valuable resource for helping us to endure difficulties. That was very nice message that you have given, Preeti. Hope our viewers enjoy that and have that their takeaway, humility and family life, which is important for them. And
Thank
now
you.
I now call upon our next speaker, BT Seringla. I would like to share a few lines about her. Mrs. Seringla holds a PhD in Educational Program Evaluation from University of Virginia, USA. She was the former president of Tibetan Women's Association. She is also a recipient of the Regan Fassel Democracy Fellowship. She is a former former member of Tibetan Parliament in exile, and also former principal of the Dalai Lama Institute for Higher Education, which is affiliated to Bangalore University. I would like to hand over the program, for the continuation of the program, to Ms. B.T. Seringla.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I feel honored to be invited to this seminar as one of the speakers. And it was great listening to the previous two speakers with their deep knowledge of their own background and how that transcends to their family life and how that has helped them become who they are today. So my background, I would like to share a little bit more about myself because it is very unique, I guess, to all the audience, if there are any listening to us. I was born in Tibet, and Tibet came under occupation of communist China in 1959. So as a result of this, lots of Tibetans escaped to India and made India as their second home. So our leader, spiritual leader, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, I'm sure many of the listeners are familiar with.
Yes.
So, and by the grace of his vision and support from the Indian government and people of India, I, like many of my Tibetan brothers and sisters, grew up in India, was educated in India, and has imbibed a lot of Indian culture and ways of life in ourselves. At the same time, without losing our own identity and our values. So for the topic today, I'm not going to go into a lot of these, how to say, intellectual exercises, but I would like to share my own experience, how I grew up and what have I been doing till now. So as you mentioned in my introduction now, I was the former principal of the Dalai Lama Institute for Higher Education. In fact, I just retired last month. So this is my first public appearance after my retirement. And yeah, so all I wanted to share with you all is family bonding is very strongly believed in our Tibetan culture. So my parents would say that they, of course, there was a lot of persecution and cultural destruction in Tibet, but the second main reason was that they were taking away children from Tibetan families, from parents, and for which they had to escape to India. So when we first came to India in 1962, I was at the right age to start schooling. So the representatives of His Holiness the Dalai Lama insisted my family to send me to school, which was meaning that I was going to be separated from my parents. And my parents said, you know, we left our country, we left everything, you know, back in Tibet because we didn't want to be separated from our children. So after coming into India, if it means to be separated from our child, that was not acceptable to my parents. So I'm very, in a way, very fortunate that I have had parents who wouldn't, you know, send me away to boarding schools, but decided to keep the child with them no matter how hard they had to work, what all the struggles that they had to go through. So the, you know, raising a child is a huge responsibility in a family, and it is the responsibility of both the parents. So now, though we say that family values, you know, we say values are caught and not taught. But as per His Holiness the Dalai Lama, there are two ways of picking up values. One is biological, which is innate in every human being. The value of compassion, kindness is there in every human being, in fact, in all other living beings. The other values could be taught by sowing seeds of compassion, of respect for all living beings, right from the beginning in the minds and heart of a child by the parents. So in our culture, the culture of compassion, it is deeply rooted in the culture of compassion, kindness, and respect for all living beings. So this has to come from the parents to the child, and then as the child grows up to go into the society, this child will be able to disseminate the same values in the society, thus building a strong society, I believe. So the Tibetan, by nature, uh, we believe in love for all sentient beings, not just among human beings, but for all sentient beings. And that is very visible even in our youth, even to this day, with all the changes and, the, uh, uh, imbibing other cultures, and then giving up some of the values that may not be that may not seem to be very relevant to the present society. But when it comes to really living these day by day, is very much strongly rooted in the Tibetan way of life. So, like, I mean, since I live in the Tibetan refugee settlement these days after my retirement, we often wonder, even though I have been in the field of education, we try to um, uh, teach. I don't know if we can say teach, but we have in our curriculum, in our day to day school curriculum and co-curricular activities, to practice compassion and respect for all living beings. And this we have seen in our youth. Like, if I want to cite an example, that uh, on our campus at the Dalai Lama Institute, we have non-Tibetan professors as well. And they said some of the unique characteristics of our youth that they observe on campus is that, one incident I want to share with you is that, one day he was walking to come to class from his staff room, and he found rows of stones lined up across the road, and he wondered what those were for. And when he looked carefully, he found lines of ants crossing the road, and the students have put those stones across the road so that, people will pay attention and not stamp on the ants that were trying to cross the road. So this, is one way that surprised him, and he said, this is real practice of respect for all living beings, for all sentient beings. So these youth, though they may have long hair, they may seem very careless, youth, but when it comes to respecting the lives of even the ants, it was very visible among these youth. So this is what they have uh, picked up from their family to their community, and finally, coming it to the practice. So the core values of our life, which is usually, is centered around the teachings of the Dalai Lama, which of course comes from the teachings of Lord Buddha, is practicing compassion. So practice of compassion would be, even we have to make commitments like we have regular teachings of His Holiness that we attend to. These days, virtually, there are several teachings going on for different nationalities very often. At the end of any long teaching, there used to be one practice that His Holiness would want all of us, and we take vows to follow 5 principles in our life. That is, not to kill, not to lie, not to steal, and not to indulge into adultery, and not to drink alcohol. Of course, when it comes to alcohol, His Holiness always says jokingly that, yes, you may take a cup or a small pack in times of social gatherings or events where it is necessary, but you never get to drink it to the point of getting drunk and then indulge into unacceptable, activities. So this reminds me, this we take the vows and we keep to these practices in our day-to-day life. So in a family, first is respect for each other, the husband and the wife. And then, of course, that transcends to all other families, like just like the previous speaker said. So this reminds me of the advice that I received from my father-in-law when I first entered the house of my husband. The first advice that my father-in-law gave was that, the best spouses consider their spouse as their boss. They serve and they respect. And the worst ones, consider their spouse as their servant. So they ill-treat them and, show no respect. So he said, I would want you, if not the best, but at least be the middle one, where you have mutual respect for each other, mutual consideration for each other, and be sincere to each other. So this, he said, he would expect us to live our life. And to this day, this is our 43rd year of married life, and we have kept that advice. We have respected and supported each other in all our, ways of life. He was a very busy person working for this charitable organization. And I also worked for the same organization for over 40 years. So despite our commitments, we never lose respect for each other, support each other, and be considerate of each other's weaknesses, and then cherish the strengths of each of us. And that has helped our children also to grow up being, human beings that are able to respect others, feel compassion for others. Now they, having attained good education, today they're able to sponsor our own refugee children and support their education, because they know that their parents have attained education by the kindness of others, by the grace of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and they in return will have to give back to the society. So this is important to feel the responsibility, with a sense of gratitude. So we believe that we must always have the sense of gratitude, and just feeling the sense of gratitude is not enough. Always try to give back what you have received. You at some point you have to give back to the society, so that then the members of the society grow up to be independent, contributing members of the society, and then they can continue to give back. Sorry, the light has gone. because we have had all this
Uh,
irregular power, and I was worried about the internet. So it is still working. Let's
yes,
hope.
yes.
So
Hopefully, it will
these,
continue to work.
yes. So I was quite nervous. I was even wondering whether I'll be able to participate or not. So excuse me if I'm being little, unorganized, but yeah. So the uh, the educating His Holiness has taught us that just educating the mind is not just enough. Educating the heart is more important these days, which is now missing in our education system. And that's why there are problems, more and more problems in the society. So educating warm heartedness is the need of the hour. And to this effect, His Holiness last year in April, in fact 2019 April, the C learning is launched. C is social, emotional, and ethical learning. This is a new curriculum that was launched in New Delhi, and it is internationally now promoted very strongly in different schools and colleges. So at the Dalai Lama Institute for Higher Education, since 2013, we started the secular ethics education, where we say, both the earlier two speakers talked about compassion, talked about love, talked about trust and respect for each other in the family, in the society, and in the community. So, His Holiness has repeatedly said that, these are the values that are common in all faiths, not just in our faith, but in Islamic faith, in Hindu, in Jainism, in all of these faiths, they talk about kindness and compassion. So this could has to be now made into a reality. It has to be inculcated in the minds of the students from a very young age, incorporating these curriculum in the school education, in the college education. So we started already, and it is slowly growing. The popularity is growing all over the world. So let's hope that, as more and more schools incorporate these curriculums in the school learning, from beginning from primary school education to middle school to high school, and now they are also developing curriculum for college students as well. So our values, family or society values, are deeply rooted in the teachings of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. To be honest, honesty is one thing I wanted to share with you. That since I started staying in the Tibetan settlement here, one day I and my husband were taking a walk, and we met a vegetable vendor, and he called out to us, and we went and saw the kinds of vegetables he has, and we said, actually we didn't have our wallet with us, so I said, I don't have any money on me, so I can't take it. And he said, no, you take whatever you want, you take, and you can pay later. So I said, you don't even know me, you don't know my house, so how do you expect me to pay you? He said, I know, Tibetans never tell lie. They will never cheat you. They'll come back looking for you and give you the money. So that made me very happy to believe that, the local people trust us so much, and we have not, failed them. So even today, with the pandemic lockdown, we have lots of these Amazon orders. So the delivery people, they bring a truckload of materials, or even in the auto rickshaws, and they leave it somewhere, because they know that nobody will steal anything from his uh, auto rickshaw, and then they will go from door to door to hand over the parcels to them. So these are the things that are still prevalent in our society, and these are the trusts that we have gained from the local people. So all these makes us feel that, we have not lost our values of being honest, of being truthful. And yes, I mean, I'm not trying to say that we are all saints, because we are, after all, human beings with the human weaknesses. And we, among us, there are still, people who may lie, who cheat, but majority of the people in the society have still been able to keep up the values that we have got from our parents, and parents from our forefathers. So we hope to keep up with that. So this, if it is understood by the people in the society, how interdependent we are with each other, then we'll be more compassionate, more understanding, more tolerant to each other, uh, to each other, even though we may belong to different faiths or different race or different nationalities. So, Praveenji, I think I'll end here, since there is no electricity, and I might lose my internet also in a while. So thank you very much for having me on this as one of the speakers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tsering. We were also honored for bringing us closer to your community by sharing the value systems you practice, of course. And indeed, the values are at the core of every society, every family. Um, People tell that, especially my father used to tell that children hear with their eyes, not with their ears. So the values that we practice, they are observing it. So always
Yes.
talk less and demonstrate more, he would tell us, to our children. That was wonderful, bringing us, we got to know a lot more about the community, otherwise which we are very, very far from the, especially from your community background you come from. Hopefully we would like to come and meet you also. And
Yes, that would be wonderful.
yes,
Yes,
to become more close, and to understand more about your culture, we need to
yes.
come and meet you personally and
Sure,
see
sure. I
everything.
look forward to that. Yes.
Yes,
Then
yes, we would
we
certainly
can
do
share
that.
more, because
Yes.
on the Zoom, I'm not very articulate, or I don't feel easy every time when I have to speak to, a machine. Yes, yes.
True, that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would now like to call upon Srimati Cynthia Stephen to share a few words about her. Cynthia Stephen is an independent social activist. She is also a media professional, gender and development policy analyst. She has been widely published in print and net publications as well as in journals. And she has written chapters in several books. She is also the most sought after speaker on gender and human rights. A very important topic, gender and human rights, especially of women and girls from the marginalized sections and minorities. She is the founder director of Text Trust, which works on issues of women in distress. She and her husband have two children who are also teenagers. So hopefully Cynthia Stephen will also give us more insights to the culture and the family system that bonds their community together. Over to Cynthia.
Thank you so much. It's such a joy to be here. I'm so pleasantly surprised to see how well this is organized. Congratulations to the organizers, and
Thank
I just
you.
want and for inviting so many sisters from different backgrounds to participate. It reflects the diversity and the quality of our society. So, with these words, I am honored to present my thoughts on the Christian family and what the Bible says. What are the ideals through which we try to live out our and practice our family life? So, and many of you might have come across the saying, the family that prays together stays together. So, one of the important things about Christian families is that prayer is a very essential part of day-to-day life. So, not only do people pray as individuals, they also pray as a family. In my mother's family, and even when we were growing up in our own very young children, my mother used to make us sit down and have a prayer every evening. Because my father used to live in another place and was working elsewhere. But it became a very solid part of our growing up, and she brought the same practice to her to my brother's house when she was staying with him and with the grandchildren. So it is an important part of the family life. Now, I just like to take a very brief minute to talk about our understanding of the unity, the concept of unity that exists in the family structure, based on our understanding of divinity or God. And another important verse that is often quoted in every context in our in our life, in our church life, in our community life, is honor your father and mother so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you. So it is and the Apostle Paul talks about this as the first command. It's one of the 10 commandments, and it is the first commandment with a promise. It says, if you honor your mother and father, then you will live long and well in the land that the Lord has given you. But the point is that there are a few differences or nuances, you can say, in our understanding of how God is at work in this context. So for this, I would like to say that the Christians believe in a Trinitarian God, and due to the limitations of human experiences, expressions, language, articulation, we call the Trinitarian God, God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. So it is easy to understand this if you're thinking about an equilateral triangle with the God the Father being at one at the top, at the apex, and on either side we have God the Son and God the Holy Spirit. But they are co-equal and coexistent and in perfect harmony. And this harmony is the unity and the peace and the fellowship that is the ideal for us as a community and as a family. So, and in this, as I said, honor is important, respect, mutual respect is very, very important. And so then there are so many other instructions. When there is a family, there is a hierarchy, as understood in the biblical pattern. And that is that there are parents and there are children, and the children are, as I said, asked to obey their parents so that they may be blessed. And also it says children's children, that is grandchildren, are a crown to the aged. And see, this is important and a departure from what we usually think. Usually we think about parents being very proud of their children, right? Everybody. But here the Bible says parents are the pride of their children. So the parents have to live in such a way that their children take pride in them. So this is an important part of the point. And then again, there's another verse in the Bible which says, obey your parents in everything, for this pleases the Lord. So these are the important things that we would like to highlight when we talk about and then also when we talk about men and women in the family, in the relationship. As you know, in the book of the Genesis is the beginning of the Bible, and there the creation account is given. I think a similar account exists also in the Holy Quran. And it's clear, and there is a description of how creation takes place in the Genesis, book of Genesis, the earlier chapters. Also the similar some sort of similar explanation is given. But there is a very important verse which keeps recurring to in the latter part in the New Testament, quoted by Jesus, and also quoted by Saint Paul in his writings. And that is how that the husband and the wife should live together. It says, a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. So this is the important part. So Genesis chapter 2 verse 24, this verse first shows up, and later on again it recurs in when Jesus is talking to uh, when Jesus is talking about the family. In the Gospel of Mark, chapter 10, verse 6 to 9, again he quotes the Old Testament and says that a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. This is not about physically leaving the home and going away. This is about a commitment that the man makes to the wife, because they unite and become not just two parts, not two individuals, but they become a blended whole. So this one flesh relationship is what a marriage really is in the Christian context. And so there's another important aspect. Of course, there are many verses in the Bible which talk about, which are very contentious, and many people justify this for unequal treatment to women. But in recent years, there has been a lot of study of the Word of God, of the Bible, and the concept of mutual submission. That is, all Christian believers have to submit to each other out of respect for Christ. And then also, particularly in the family, there is a very beautiful passage in Ephesians chapter 5, verses 31 and 33, where the concept of mutual submission. So it's not about the man being a head and being like a despot. It's not like that. It is that they respect and honor each other, and honor each other's values and feelings, and they submit mutually. So okay, let's do this together. That is the kind of mutual harmonious submissive life, not aggressive but submissive. That is the understanding. That is how harmoniously the Christian family is supposed to carry out its life. So in Genesis, as I said already, this ideal of the a couple becoming united, the children being subject to their parents and being obedient. And finally, there is this call for the whole family to pray together and to serve God together. And it says that there's a very famous verse by a quote by a very honored man from the Bible. His name is Joshua, who was the assistant to Moses, and later on took over the leadership of the people of Israel. And he says that Israelites of his time. So he says, "As for me and my house, we shall serve the Lord." And the parents shall, and then there's another important aspect. The parents are supposed to teach the children in the scriptures and in the ethical practices. So train up there's a famous verse that in the proverb that says, it's used everywhere. It says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he shall not depart from it. So these are the ideals that families are to live up to. So we also find that in his own life, Jesus was the one who honored women at all times. He set an example of being very honorable towards women, which was quite in contrast from the local practice, where women were treated quite openly and justified as second-class citizens. But there is a point, there's a verse in the Bible where Jesus quotes Genesis, as I said, and he talks about creation and how God created man and woman. He says God created man and woman in his own image. Man and woman created he them. He created human beings in his own image as man and woman. So man as well as women reflect the true reality of who God is. So this is the homogeneous and co-equal relationship that men and women are created in. And so therefore the expectation that they will be mutually living in harmony and mutual submission, and also reflect the harmony that exists within the Trinity. And also in another important, this is a verse that is often quoted in weddings: a cord of three is not easily broken. That is, when a rope is made, it is not made with two strands but three. And so in a marriage, when the marriage is built, it is said to be the union of three. That is the man, the woman, and God. So therefore, God is a very present reality in the Christian understanding of family. But I would like to add that this is not just the traditional patriarchal family that one talks about. There are also other patterns of family nowadays. Very many times it is tragic, but there are lots of broken homes, we can say, or you can say where there is a single parent home. For whatever reason, there is only one parent, the other parent is not there, is absent. But still, the important part is that there is God continues to be a part of that family. So it is not necessary that with there are husband and wife, that there is a family. It is quite possible that even we know, like many times I work, as I said, as you know, with the women in distress. So it's the reality in society these days, particularly in India, that a large number of women get deserted. The men desert their wives and leave, or they have cheated the girl and left. So the women are running single parent families, or there's now increasing amount numbers of divorces happening. So in such a context also, the Bible says very clearly in the book of Isaiah that God is the husband to the single woman. In other words, he is the one who protects and looks after, because the meaning really of the term husband, if you look up in the Bible, the root of it is to the one who takes care of. So that's why the person who's in charge of an orchard is called the husbandman, the man who looks after the orchard. So in the same way, God is the one who is in charge of and cares for the members of the family, even if there is a missing spouse. Normally, unfortunately, it tends to be a female-headed household. So in this way, we find that the importance of the family is to provide nurture and training for the younger generation, to provide harmonious relationships and enduring family, and heritage of grandparents to the younger generation. And that is not only a heritage of physical goods, material goods, properties, or whatever, but also of faith and harmonious family pattern of living. And apart from this, there are other rules, like in the Christian community, as you know, we also have community worship together as a whole family. The whole family goes to church together and worships together. This is also an important value in our religious practice. And here, the person who runs the church, who heads the church, there is a condition that he has to be a husband of one wife. He should be married but not have multiple wives, and has to be able to look after his family. He has to have a tradition or a capacity to run his family well. Because the Bible asks, if he is not able to manage one household, how will he manage the people of God? Because as I said, the people of God or the church are also considered a family, a reflection of God's love for the world. And the most important part is that in the Bible, there is a very high value or view given to marriage. And it says that in Ephesians chapter 5, it says, husbands, love your wives, be subject to your own husbands as service to the Lord. So be subject means be in obedience to your husband as a service to the Lord. It's a religious faith that you exercise by being a submissive. And it says here clearly, for the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, himself being the savior of the body. There is a concept of the body, Christ's body being the church. So then, but just as the church is subject to Christ, so also wives should be subject to their husbands in everything, respecting both their position as protector and their responsibility to God as the head of the house. This is what the husband is supposed to do. He is responsible to run the family as well as answer to God for the family's powers. And further, it says that husbands, love your wives and surround her with a caring and unselfish love. So that just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her, that means the people of God who are called the church, Christ gave his life for them. The same way the husband in the home should be willing to lay down his life for his family, or particularly the wife. And even so therefore there is a greater duty enjoined upon the men, and the responsibility enjoined upon the men. So it says, even so husbands should and are morally obligated to love their own wives as their own bodies. He who loves his own wife loves himself. For no one hated his own body, but instead he nourishes and protects and cherishes it. We take tablets, we take food, we look after our body well. Same way the husband has to look after the wife. And then again, this beautiful verse is quoted for the third time here. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and his mother and shall be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one. Here, when it says joined, it means be faithfully devoted to. So this mystery of the two becoming one is great. But I am speaking with reference to the relationship of Christ and the church. So every man among you, without exception, is to love his wife as his very own self, always seeking the best for her with an attitude of loving kindness. See what a contrast it is from the experiences of wives in our world. How the Bible challenges the men to be loving and kind to their wives. And then that wife also, there's also this important duty that she respects and delights in her husband, and prefers him and treats him with loving concern, treasuring him, honoring him, and holding him dear. So there is a mutual respect, a mutual concern, a mutual harmonious living together, which is the basis, along with prayer and faith, as of the Christian family. So this is the pattern of Christian family life that I would like to share. And I would like to say that this is faithfully taught in the church, and in the increasingly in these present days, we feel that the family as a social institution is under huge challenge because of materialistic values, because of too much of interference of technology in our life, and because of lack of time, economic burdens, and so on. But I think living a simple and uh, mm, if- godly life is of great value, because we will live a peaceful life with the blessings of God. And with these words, I would like to thank you very much for this opportunity to share. Thank you so much, Moina.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Cynthia. Thanks a lot for giving insights of family values in your community. In fact, marriage and family are perhaps the society's oldest and most resilient institutions from the beginning of human life. So people have grouped themselves into families to find social, physical, emotional support that families can offer. Hopefully the viewers will get the message, and we work together to strengthen the family system and family bonds within our community and society at large. Thank you, Cynthia. Thanks a lot. I would like to call upon Ms. Rahmatun Nisa Sahiba. Ms. Rahmatun Nisa Sahiba, she is the second.
Moina, I've gone on mute.
There is some technical problem because the video is program is running for a long time. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead,
Yes,
Moina. We can hear you.
I would now like to call upon Mrs. Rahmatunisa Sahiba. Mrs. Rahmatunisa Sahiba, she is the All India Co-Secretary of Jamaat-e-Islami Hind Women's Organization, Women's Wing. She is also the founder director of Tweet, an NGO, and she is the editor-in-chief of Aura A magazine, E-magazine, which is named as Aura. which will be launched very soon. Over to Ms. Rahmatun-Nisa Sahiba.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear now.
Okay. Good evening, all. May the Almighty, the creator of you and me and the entire universe, bless all of us and, unite us together like this in future also to discuss more regarding these kinds of topics and serve the humanity in a better way. Thank you so much. It was wonderful. I felt really honored to listen to all of you. You all shared very sincerely your experiences and thoughts, and I'm sure every one of you must have benefited from it. Okay, now coming to my topic, the family system in Islam. Actually, Islam believes that family as a system, it is a basic unit of society which has been created by Allah Himself. The God has created it. And human beings are not created as angels. Human beings are created with all those natural urges to have a pair with them, and they are created as pairs. As our sister Cynthia Stephen said, Adam and Eve, they were created together and they were asked to go to the Jannat and then stay there, and they were tested, and both of them they were only one tree was prohibited, and they were said you can eat and drink as you wish and you can enjoy your life. And then the shaitan tempted them, and because of eating the forbidden fruit, there is a concept that they were expelled from heaven because of that. It's not like that. The Islamic concept is initially itself they were created to live in this world. I am creating my representative, Khalifa to the world. That is what God told angels before creating Adam and Eve. And then both of them repented and both of them were forgiven. And one promise that God gave them at that time when they were allowed to live on the earth for a while, where they have to work for again going back to the same heaven, all mankind. So the instruction was, my messengers will come to you time and again, and then whoever follows those messengers, you will be able to live peacefully and you will get the eternal joy. So, there are a lot of instructions in Islam, the Quran and the Prophet's, words and deeds. We find a lot of instructions regarding family. More than prayer and more than fasting, there are more instructions regarding the family system and how you have to run a family, because God loved this institution so much. He gave his own name, Rahim. That is the name, Ar-Rahman, and Rahim is the name he has given to this family as a system. So what I'm trying to say is, within the given time, I cannot go into the details of all the instructions that are given by the Quran and the Prophet, but still I will just try to highlight some of the important points so that we will all benefit from it. Quran says it is for mankind, and the Prophet is considered as a mercy for every human being, so everyone can benefit from it, just like we learn from the Bible or Gita. So the first, to begin with, the Quran and also the Prophet, Islam as such, encourages people to get married. And getting married is considered as, completing one's religious belief, the faith, deen, which is called as deen. Half of the deen, the religious faith, Islamic faith, gets completed by getting married. And then the Prophet advised that there are three things that you shouldn't delay. And one of them is, once a person attains the age of marriage and finds a suitable spouse, that person has to get married. And there is a saying by the Prophet, "O young people, whoever among you can marry should marry, because it helps him lower his gaze and guard his modesty." So we understand that one of the objectives of getting married is to stop spreading evils in society, immoral activities in society. And Allah wants people not to live an isolated life, but live in pairs, enjoy within the families, and even went out their natural urges. It is not considered as something unholy, or the more spiritual you are, the more romantic you become. That is the teaching of the Prophet and the examples of the Prophet. So, and then encouraging marriage, and then there are instructions on how to get married. How to establish this very institution of marriage is very simple and practical. Actually, there is no expense compulsory on the side of the bride. The bride or her family need not have to spend even a single rupee for the marriage or the party, but it is a duty of the man to give mahar. That is something valuable, something worth, to show that he is going to get someone, he is going to take someone as his partner. It is something valuable. It's a valuable gift that he is going to take. So he has to give her something valuable and make her feel content with it. The bride should be satisfied with what the groom is giving, and then only the marriage is valid. And it is very simple. And all the extravaganza or things that we see around in our society is actually something alien to the teachings of Islam. And the Prophet has taught that the best wedding is that upon which the least trouble and expense is bestowed. So it is being made very simple so that everyone in the society, even the lowest in the economic group, can get married with pride and enjoy the life. And also the society is given the instruction that you have to get married and you should try to. It's like an aradhana, ibadah for people to find suitable matches for the young boys and girls, and help them in getting married. And then there are instructions on how to strengthen the relationship, the husband and wife relationship. The Quran, chapter number 30, verse number 21, it says that among his signs is this, that he created for you maids from among yourselves, and that you may dwell in tranquility with them. He has put love and mercy between your hearts. Verily, in that signs for those who reflect. So he has created that love and mercy in the minds of the husband and wife. And that is, not just the physical attraction is enough. The love is not enough. The marriage should be also based on mercy, compassion, as my co-speakers have spoken. That is what this verse teaches the husband and wife. And how close this relationship is, that is also being taught in chapter number 2, verse number 187. It is made lawful for you in the nights of fast to have sex with your women. They are apparel for you, and you are apparel for them. So it shows how close and how intimate their relationship should be. It is very close as your dress is, and it covers all your drawbacks, and it gives you comfort. It beautifies your life. So that is how you have to live. And the warmth, and in the hottest season, the cool feel, all these has to be given each other. And during it is given this warning during, while instructing regarding the fasting and all its procedures during Ramadan. People had a thinking that, okay, this is Ramadan, so we should be away from our wives. It's not like that. You have to be, don't betray yourselves. You have to be with your wives, because Allah knows that He acknowledges that man has this urge and he has to fulfill it. So and the term used for both husband and wife is zawj. There is no masculine or feminine form for this. So to show that they have equal status. So, and then the more spiritual the person is, the more he has to express. The Prophet has shown, the spiritual leader has shown how romantic he is, how he used to drink from the the pot. If his wife has taken the water from touching her lips, the same place he would touch his lips and take water, show that he loves her so much, and that much romantic they were. And but at the same time, sex outside marriage or any such relationship or any activity, any action leading to such illegal and unwanted relationships are strictly prohibited, and strictly will incur punishment. That is what is being taught that if someone gets attracted in the street by looking at a woman or looking at a picture, what do you have to do? The instruction is given by the Prophet. Go to your home, go and enjoy your life with your wife. So this, and then even the Prophet was explaining to his, followers, for his people, that you should, the way how to do sex with your wife, because man and woman have different nature. So he is telling, don't be in a hurry, don't be like birds. You have to wait for your wife also to fulfill that. Women are a bit slow in getting stimulated. So that is what he is talking about. And then he was advising his people, that is followers, that companions, that you will get a reward for enjoying your life with your family, your wife. And the companions were surprised. Just for enjoying our life, we are going to get reward? Then he asked, suppose you are doing it in a legal manner, haram way, which is prohibited outside marriage. Will not you get punishment? They said yes. Yeah, same way you will get reward if you are doing it in the way that is being allowed and legal to you. And then how to that relationship, a very psychological aspect of it has been taught by the Prophet. See, people have different nature, different tendency, their looks are different. Both the man and woman, boy and girl, they come from different family backgrounds. So there might be, nobody is 100% perfect, nobody is a god or angel. So there might be drawbacks or some problems, but the Prophet was advising, and the Quran also, chapter number 4, verse number 19, the Prophet also is advising that even if he hates one aspect of her character, there could be many with which he can be satisfied. And the Quran says that might be good for you. So maybe the wife is not as beautiful according to the terms, how now people have a very, like the definition of beauty is something, that Cinderella world of beauty and all these. That is what the media is putting in the minds of the people. But Quran gives a very practical solution on how to go ahead with the wife you have got, how to go ahead with the husband you got. You focus on their good aspects, and psychologists say that what we focus will grow. And the husbands are strongly instructed to have good contact with their wives. The best of you are those who have good contact with your wives. And the Prophet was giving practical examples to that. And there is a concept that household chores are the entire duty of the wife. There is nothing like that. From the Quran and the Prophet's example, we understand that husband, the Prophet was sharing the family chores, household chores with their wives, and he was doing the most difficult part of it. So it was a great relief for the wives. So like this, how the contract, the relationship can be strengthened. A lot of instructions are there. And also marriage is considered as a civil contract. It's a strong contract. Misak and Ghalida is the word used in the Quran. That means a strong contract. So that means that both the husband and wife have rights and also duties. That is also mentioned by the Quran. So that means that if one of them is not fulfilling the duties, and it becomes very much unbearable, and you cannot live together peacefully in harmony with honor, you can peacefully disperse that contract also. That is called as divorce. And just like men, women also have freedom to get kula, we call it, or some other terms also are used, also have. And then the procedure, there are proper procedures for this, and the procedure for men are more difficult, because it is said that this is something which out of the things which are allowed, something which Allah hates most is divorce. But in case of dire needs, instead of living very wretched life where even children who are growing have difficulties, seeing both the parents fighting every day, and it's in many cases it's like a freedom, it's like emancipating the woman also from all this bondage. And also widow marriage, if the husband dies, or if she gets divorced, widows also are to be married, and that is the responsibility of the family and also the society to take care that even widows they can get married. And then we have the example of the Prophet. His first marriage was when he was 25 with Khadija radiallahu anha, who was 40 years of old, and she was a widow. And until she died, he did not go for a next marriage. And this is something which we need to analyze and study. And now comes children. Children are considered as good news. Bushira is the word used in the Quran, whether it is a boy or a girl. And the Prophet told, if you have 3 daughters, and if you educate them, give them good character, good contact, teach them good contact, and settle them their life, just like boys, you will enter into heaven. Then someone asked, what if I have only 1 daughter? He said, you will also. So he was encouraging people to want for more children, because children are considered as taught as gateways to heaven, and then as a rewarding thing. And it is the duty of the parents to give them good names and develop their character. It's not just the duty of the mother, it is a duty of the father too. The best thing that the father has to do, gift for his children, is good contact, good behavior. And then even clear instructions are given on breastfeeding, weaning also. Clear instructions are given. So only now we come to know that how important and scientific it is to breastfeed the children for at least 2 years. And then comes the parents, the elders in the family. Motherhood is actually glorified within the family, and the mother is the Rani of the house, and the father is the head of the house. So she is glorified. And then we should understand that pregnancy is not considered as some of us believe. It is not considered as a punishment for eating that forbidden fruit. But it is considered as a gateway to the paradise, as a great sacrifice only a woman could do for the society, for humanity. And because of this, the Quran says, chapter number 31, verse number 14, we enjoined upon man to be dutiful to his parents. His mother bore him in weakness upon weakness, and his weaning lasted 2 years. Give thanks to me and to your parents. Next to the Creator, to whom you are indebted, it is your parents. And out of the parents, when the Prophet was asked, to whom I am indebted the most in this world, 3 times the Prophet said, your mother. And then 4th time when he was asked, he said, your father. So considering this, people say mother has 3 times more. The responsibility. And it is said that you shouldn't say when they are old and when they are with you, the children are not supposed to say even oof. Sometimes we say, no, when the mother calls from the kitchen, maybe children, oh, what, ma, I will come now. Even that you shouldn't say. Show mercy to them. Treat them with excellence. Ihsan, it is said. The Quran says ihsan. That means with excellence. That means how they want to be, how they are pleased. And treating your parents in a good manner is equal to doing an aradhana, an ibadah, a worship. So that is one of considered as an act of worship. So maybe it is because of this you couldn't find old age homes as very rare among the Muslim communities even today. And other relatives also. Silatul Rahm is a term used. Silatul Rahm means enjoining family bonds and relationships, uncles, aunts, brothers, sisters, everyone, visiting them, calling them, keeping good terms with them. And if you have any fight with any of your relatives, it is said, it is taught by the Prophet that your prayers will not be accepted by God. You have to have good terms with your families, and the one who takes the initiative gets the double reward. And the act that incurs easy reward is enjoining family ties. The act that incurs easy punishment is the act of not enjoining family relationships. And there is in the family, the Quran teaches the system of mutual consultation. That means mashwara, shura system. Even for small matters, worldly matters also, not only related to the family, related to the society, related to the political aspects, related to economical aspects. The Prophet has shown examples of consulting with his wives, and also the Sahabe, his companions have shown consulting with the women. So, and it has been taught that your relatives are not your choice. It has been given by God. So he must have, there is, goodness in that. So you cannot choose, you cannot say, oh, my parents are old, they are uneducated, or my relatives are like this. They are the test on you, on how patient you are with them, how compassionate you are with them. Show mercy to the youngsters in the family, respect the elders in the family. Both the commands are given to us. And then praying. There is a very beautiful example. Cynthia Stephen was talking about praying together. There is a beautiful example of the Prophet in the Prophet's masjid, when women, men, children, everyone was together. He was reciting the Quran. That is one of the act of worship. And while reciting the Quran, he heard one child crying. Then he reduced the recitation and shortened the prayer. And later he said that I shortened it because I don't want the mother to feel worried. And also that shows that the Prophet was encouraging women, children, everyone to go to the masjids and pray together. So my prayer is that may the Almighty, our Creator, guide us all in the proper way, and give us more and more opportunities to understand each other and to understand what is best for us in this world and the hereafter, and also the courage to choose and practice what is best for us. Thank you so much. It was wonderful listening to you, and also I congratulate the organizers, the anchoring. Everything was really good. May God accept it as a good day from all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jazakallah Khairan. It was wonderful evening. I hope for all our viewers and for all of us, having plethora of guests around us from diverse background. We got to know so much about each other's culture, and that is a positive step towards strengthening the society. So we got to know that in all religions, that family values are so important, that family stability has been, even though the family stability has been in continuous decline for last decades, which affect the social and emotional well-being of children and adults, still people are there to come forward and strengthen the family bonds and society. All these social organizations and people who are concerned coming and sharing and still valuing the family system, the force behind that is the spiritual well-being that hold the strings of families. So it is very important to understand the culture. We come from a pluralistic society. In India, we have so many faiths and so many religions practicing so many different forms of faith. So it is very important to understand each other and recognize each other, respect each other's value. It is only by organizing this kind of platforms where we can share and understand, we get to know one another very well. So the takeaway for our viewers is families are most intimate social environment. They are the places where we can begin the vital process of upbringing of our children, building their characters and demonstrating the characters. Every religion teaches good values and good character. That is the core of every religion. The problem lies in demonstrating this and taking it forward. So we have the social organization, the religious organizations, every man and every woman to play an important role in it. And also the government policies to strengthen the families which are downtrodden and have a lot of difficulties. All this together can strengthen the nation. Marriage, family, and general good of the society are so interdependent that one cannot flourish without the other. So we need to come together very often, share each other's value systems, understand one another, spread the values of love, compassion, good character, compatibility, concern among all human beings. I hope it was a wonderful session tonight. Today's evening was a wonderful session and wonderful time we spent together. I would like to once again thank all our guest speakers who had given their precious time to this event and made this event a successful one. Secondly, I would like to thank all the organizers for organizing the event so wonderfully and making it a great success. Thank you so much.